Pittsburgh Steelers fans and BTSC Saturday Night Open Thread crew. This is Andrew Wilbar coming at you with an unusual way to post the Saturday Night Open Thread comments. If you're watching on YouTube, I will explain this to you in just a second. But first, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. But of course, most of you know I do write articles for BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, my favorite Pittsburgh Steelers website. Those of you that have followed the channel for a while, you know that I talk about articles a lot, do a lot of different draft things, a little bit of fantasy football on there, and of course some Steelers-related articles as well. All of it has ties to the Steelers, obviously, and stuff with the Steelers twist. But one article that always goes up every week is a Saturday Night Open Thread by one Steel Canuck. He is a great member of the site, and we always have fun with some of the questions. Some of them are sports-related questions. Others are just kind of funny questions, or not necessarily funny questions, but, just off-topic, just to get you thinking, just starting conversation. It's always a good conversation starter. We always have a lot of fun on Fridays and Saturday nights. They have another one on Friday nights as well. But I'm going to walk through these questions kind of as a teaser for the site, and also for the Saturday Night Open Thread. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, be sure to go and check it out. But he is given 5 questions today. I'm going to give my answers to those that are in the open thread right now. But also to those of you, he asked these questions this week. Again, there's 5 of them. The first 3 are about the Steelers. Actually, really the first 4 in some sort of fashion. And then the last one is just a little bit off topic. But we're going to go through each of these. The first question is talking about the offensive line. It's talking about how the national media speculated that the Steelers are going to be absolutely horrible in pass protection. And he asks, is there some truth to the national media opinion, or is this just those clowns ragging on us again? And for my answer this week, I'm going to say that it's kind of somewhere in between. I think there's I suppose there's a little bit of truth. I don't think we're going to be elite by any means. I mean, Chukwuma Okorafor is a better fit at left tackle, and he's definitely a better pass protector than he is a run blocker. I'm just not sure how high his upside is. He'll be an okay starter, but ideally I prefer having, an elite franchise left tackle, which the Steelers have never really prioritized. They've always prioritized the interior of the line, and it's no different now. In pass protection, Dotson did really well last year in pass protection. I'm not worried about him. Kendrick Green, we'll see what happens with him, but he was solid in Illinois. Of course, he played mostly at guard. And then the big question mark is kind of Trey Turner. He had an absolutely horrible season last year. We'll see how he does coming back off an injury. And of course, you have Zach Banner on the right side, who's more the run blocker, but right tackle I'm not as concerned about. So I don't think we're going to be absolutely horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that I don't think that we're going to be, a top 5 pass protection unit. I know it's a little bit more difficult to rank offensive lines by pass protection, run blocking. I know PFF does that type of stuff, but, most people do not really care a whole lot about what PFF has to say anyways. But at the end of the day, I think we'll be better than what the media is saying overall, not just the offensive line. But I'm not saying that we are going to be an elite unit by any stretch. The second question he gives is, what position group are you most confident will beat its opponent week in and week out? And for the Steelers, I'm going to go with defensive line. I thought about wide receiver, but defensive line just makes more sense. You have 2 near all-pro caliber players in Stephon Tuitt and Cameron Hayward. They constantly wreak havoc on opponents each and every week. And then Tyson Alualu had his best season of his career last year, and I expect his success to continue. Carl Dunbar is an excellent coach in terms of training younger guys, plus schematics as well. And it really works well with Keith Butler's linebacker stunts, blitzes, things like that. They really do a good job with the front 7 in Pittsburgh. So I would have to say the defensive line is probably what I'm most confident in that can beat opposing offensive linemen and get to the quarterback. Next question starts interesting. Big Ben, Benny. But he goes on to say, I don't have a question about him, but he does fit the title. Now, he always comes up with these catchy titles and things like that always make it interesting. But his question is really on Dwayne Haskins. Of course, most of you, at least if you're a Steelers fan, you know the situation going on right now with him apparently getting beaten by his wife. So I'm not sure exactly. I don't know all the details. But the question is, does the fight mean that the wheels are about to fall off the wagon? Does it have you concerned, or is this just another young married couple fight? I mean, there's some concern. I mean, I'm not putting really much of, if any, blame on Haskins in this scenario, but it just again shows his lack of maturity from getting into a relationship with this person in the first place. But overall and stuff, I think the big thing with him is maturity and stuff. Has had some problems ever since he's been in the league. Obviously, Washington was not the best place for him, but Ron Rivera was an excellent coach. And just really, I was disappointed that he did not do better with Rivera as the head coach, because Rivera's as good as a good as coach as you're going to find, that's going to train these guys and teach them some character as well. But I think he'll end up making the roster. My hope is that he can develop into number 2 and we can trade Mason Rudolph to a team that can, will actually give us something. But it's low risk right now. I'm not terribly concerned, but that's partially because he's the third stringer. But obviously this does not help him any. He's trading on thinner and thinner ice at this point. The fourth question is, as you know by now, Pouncey has gone retired. Which player from any sport is your most memorable retiree? How badly did he or she break your heart or crush your team's dreams? Now, for most memorable retiree, it's not one of my teams, but I have to go with Andrew Luck, just because it was such a shock to the system and stuff. Now, it could kind of crush my fantasy team, because in early drafts, I had been considering him in the 4th, 5th round. So then you find out he's retired. Well, I just lost my 4th or 5th round pick. So I was a little bit hurt by that. I liked Andrew Luck a lot. But in terms of Steelers, I mean, it hurt to an extent when Heath Miller retired, but it wasn't so much the initial shock of him retiring. It was when the Steelers tried to replace him and they struggled to replace him. And really, they've still been searching ever since to find the next guy who can be a reliable tight end. So for the Steelers, I would say Heath Miller, just because it's a little bit more recent for me, of course. But Andrew Luck's probably the most memorable one, not necessarily my team, but my fantasy team, I guess, per se. And then the last question, of course, like I said, some of these are always off-topic questions. Today, one says, a quick Google search shows that Arnold Schwarzenegger has been in 379 movies. Which specific movie is his best role? And as most of the people know, I do not watch really any movies at all. So I really can't answer that question because I haven't seen any. So, but it's always an interesting article to do each week. And I just kind of wanted to tease that. If you're not checking out Behind the Steel Curtain, go and check it out. If you're a Steelers fan, it has everything you need, from breaking news to film breakdowns to draft previews to just everyday, in the loop, figuring out what's going on with the team, opinion articles. You have everything on the website. Also, check out their podcast platform. You can check them out on YouTube as well. I believe on Apple Podcasts they have. Just check out their podcast platform. They do a really good job. They have more podcasts coming up this fall. And of course, be checking out these articles that are always fun to join in on, especially if you're a Steelers fan. Come and check out the site, create an account, and start commenting regularly, especially on these articles that are always fun. It's always good conversation with Reno and Les. I'm getting worried because I'm going to leave some people out. But Yinzer, the SNW, Hearts and Smarts, and I know that there are others, Mr. Ickley, and that there are many more and stuff. Blue Nose Steelhead. That there are a lot of people that, I can't even mention right now. That's why I want you to go and check it out. Someone will probably blast me in the comments section for forgetting their name. And when that happens, I'm sorry. Toronto Steelers fan, yes, who's been filling in the past couple weeks for Steel Canuck, who's been quite devastated over his Montreal Canadiens loss in the Stanley Cup final. At least that's the rumor going around. That's why Toronto had to fill in. But anyways, that's going to do it all for today. Again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Join in on the fun. Comment down below in that article. Give your thoughts on these, especially if you're a Steelers fan. And even if you're not a Steelers fan, there's content there for you, whether it's the draft breakdowns, whether it's just interaction with other fans. There's different articles that will go up about the AFC North, about different Steelers rivals, opponents, especially during the season. There's podcasts specifically towards knowing your enemy. So if your team is playing the Steelers that week, check out their podcast on Wednesday, and the Know Your Enemy podcast with Jeffrey Benedict and Michael Beck. And they always interview someone from an opposing team's website, and they really look into what the enemy, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and really figuring out who's going to win the game on Sunday. That's going to do all for today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for taking this time. A little bit longer than what would take for you guys to normally read my response, but I thought I'd do something different for a change. So also be sure to check out the BTSC Fantasy Draft this Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, I almost forgot now. Monday and Tuesday at 7 Eastern in the BTSC comment sections. There'll be an article go up both nights. If you're a member of BTSC, be sure to go and check that out. Be sure to chime in, chat with those that are drafting and stuff. It'll be a fun couple evenings. But that's going to do it all for today. Have a good one.